Founded in 2011 by Chatri Sityodtong and Victor Kwai, One Championship emerged as a fresh competitor in the combat sports world, with a mission to honor martial arts' cultural roots while innovating its presentation. Chatri, a martial artist and entrepreneur, envisioned a promotion that celebrated not just the athleticism of fighters, but also their values, discipline, and heritage. One Championship has a unique place in MMA, and once had a credible claim to be a competitor to the monopoly that is the UFC.
When a guy like Eddie Alvarez gets KO'd, or a guy like Sage Northcutt gets KO'd, or a guy like Mighty Mouse gets tagged and has a real fight on his hands, then you're showing the whole world, like, hey, these guys that are coming over here that are world-class fighters, they're fighting world-class fighters.
More importantly, One has the most differentiated product to sell to fight fans. One FC promotes MMA fights with rules different than the UFC's: kickboxing, Muay Thai and MMA gloves, and submission grappling contests, all under one banner. They also broadcast fights on YouTube and Amazon Prime, making them incredibly accessible. While other major promotions like the UFC targeted global or Western markets, One positioned itself firmly within Asia, recognizing the continent's rich martial arts history and untapped market potential. One quickly gained a reputation for its visually stunning events. Unlike traditional MMA broadcasts, One incorporated theatrical elements, elaborate stage entrances, pyrotechnics, and cinematic storytelling, aimed at engaging both casual viewers and hardcore fans. One FC secured deals with major networks like Fox Sports Asia, and to bolster its roster, recruited big names such as former UFC champions Demetrius Mighty Mouse Johnson and Eddie Alvarez, as well as Muay Thai legends like Rodtang Jitmuangnon. One held events in major Asian cities like Singapore, Bangkok, Manila, and Tokyo, attracting packed arenas and growing its fan base. Once hailed as a potential serious rival to the UFC, now One Championship has been facing significant scrutiny. In his recent UFC debut, former One FC's double champion, Dutch grappler Reinier de Ridder, shed light on One's abusive practices in contract negotiations.
I feel I have to do for other fighters. If you think of signing with One Championship, don't. It's that simple. You should not. There's nothing there. There's no fights. You're just wrong if you do this. If you sign there, this is a bad mistake.
The company's financial troubles are not news. Their 2021 annual filing with the Accounting and Corporate Regulatory Authority in Singapore showed that One Championship suffered losses of $111 million. At the time, One had raised $150 million in a funding round led by Guggenheim Investments and the Qatar Investment Authority, valuing One Championship at $1.4 billion and allowing for expansion outside of Asia. The company's CEO justified their financial direction, saying, "One Championship is a startup focused on working in the attention economy." Quote, "There is no difference between Facebook's business model and ours," says Sityodtong. In the first few years, all that Facebook cared about was users. Eventually, when their user base was huge, they could go to advertisers. "We care about fans. Eventually, we will go to broadcasters and advertisers." End quote. The next year, in 2022, the situation got marginally better. Their losses shrank 40%, and despite operating in a heavy negative cash flow, Chatri said he expected profitability in 3 years. Quote, "If you try to monetize too early, you actually limit your growth," he added. Surprisingly, seems like One FC's financial hurdles might be coming to an end. In an interview in June 2024, Chatri says, quote, "Through a combination of strong revenue growth and good cost optimization, One will achieve profitability and positive cash flow in the third or fourth quarter of this year." End quote. Now let's dive a little deeper into the cost optimization that Chatri mentioned. In October 2023, an Sports Illustrated article exposed former champion Adriano Moraes' contract, as well as Uzbekistani martial artist Sardor Babayanov, which was debuting in a One Friday Fights event. Moraes earned $100,000 for the bout, including his $50,000 win bonus. Regardless of the salary being relatively low for a championship bout, the full contract unveils some of the most restrictive terminology ever seen in an MMA contract. Here are some highlights. One retains the rights to the athlete's image, even after death, for the purpose of selling goods and services. If the athlete becomes a one champion, their contract is automatically extended by 4 fights or 24 months the moment their current contract expires. And athletes shall not change their name, birth, stage, or otherwise without the consent of one. The other contract, from Sardor Babayanov, shows his disclosed pay as $1,500 to show and $1,500 to win. Friday Fights serves as one's equivalent to the UFC's Contender Series, and it's important to note that fighters in the talent pipeline may not receive compensation at the same level as contracted athletes. Despite this, it is still remarkably low purse for an MMA fight, but that's exactly what cost optimization looks like. MMA journalist John Nash goes in depth in his podcast, Hey, Not the Face, that I'll be linking in the description if you want a detailed breakdown on ONE FC's contract. But probably the biggest flaw for the fighters in the contract is that ONE FC is obliged to offer 2 bouts per 12-month period. Judging by the sheer inactivity of their MMA stars, like grappling ace Marcos Buchecha or the recent UFC debutant Reinier de Ridder, fighters struggle to fight more than once a year, which makes me wonder if they are really being offered those 2 fights per year. Fighters have a very small window of time in their prime to make the most amount of money, because after they retire, they don't have a paycheck. If ONE FC holds their fighters for years without enough fights, the fighters are hurt long-term. More episodes showing of lack of care for their fighters' health and career exposes ONE FC's business practices even more. Karate prodigy Sage Northcutt was scheduled to return to action in January against Japanese legend Shinya Aoki in Japan, but withdrew from the bout on fight day. During the broadcast, the company released a statement saying Sage withdrew due to unforeseen circumstances. The striker later clarified on a now-deleted Instagram post, which, in summary, stated that ONE FC's blocked 2 of his cornermen on very short notice, telling him only 1 cornerman would be allowed on the fight. Then, due to a lack of a working visa, the 2 remaining cornermen were deported from Japan. Sage, irate by the lack of transparency by the company, withdrew from the fight. He hasn't been scheduled another fight since. In another episode, ONE Championship flyweight grappling champion Mikey Musumeci was scheduled to face BJJ prodigy Cade Ruotolo in a 170-pound contest, but Ruotolo announced his withdrawal less than a week before the show due to injury. ONE then announced that Musumeci would defend his flyweight title days later against late replacement Bebeto Oliveira, cutting all the way down to 135 pounds, almost a fifth of his body weight. Musumeci missed weight and failed his hydration test for 168 and was stripped of the title. The match never materialized, as Musumeci revealed Saturday he was hospitalized with pneumomediastinum. The decision by ONE FC officials to schedule a match 3 weight classes below his weight at Fight Week and then stripping his title sounds illogical and absurd. But unfortunately, this isn't the worst case of a weight cut going wrong at a ONE FC event. In December 2015, Yang Jianbing, a flyweight from China, died after suffering complications following a weight cut. He was 21 years old. The cause of death was listed as cardiopulmonary failure. After this incident, ONE FC implemented their mysterious hydration tests. Fighters are required to pass both a weight check and a hydration test, the latter measured via urine-specific gravity. The system theoretically curtails severe dehydration, a common practice in traditional MMA weigh-ins. However, several flaws in the process undermine its effectiveness. There's a lack of transparency when fighters' weight and hydration test results are not always publicly disclosed. There are manipulation concerns, as the testing protocol can be easily tampered with. Fighters may consume small amounts of water before providing a sample, temporarily altering hydration levels without truly addressing the weight-cutting issue. The hydration test is widely criticized and has been scrutinized heavily by 2 videos by MMA on Point that I'll link in the description. Weight-cutting controversies and financial instability might not be isolated issues, but symptoms of a larger structural problem in ONE Championship. Judging by the composition on the fight cards this year, the company seems to be shifting its focus into kickboxing and Muay Thai, areas where they have a strong influence over the workforce, especially in Asia.
All the Muay Thai fighters, the only home they have is ONE Championship. So they pay them very little. They can pay them pennies on the dollars compared to anybody else because that's the only place they can go to.
Grappling also is on ONE FC's menu, but with Craig Jones Invitational and Fight Pass Invitational offering stiff competition, maybe it's not for long.
People have been saying that they're going to run out of money for a long time, and they keep finding a way to raise money. So whether this is the last year ONE will be around or not, I have no idea. They're obviously experts at raising money. Maybe they'll continue to do so, but it doesn't seem good.
As ONE Championship faces mounting scrutiny, it's evident that its once bright vision has encountered significant obstacles. The organization revolutionized the MMA world with its bold approach, combining martial arts tradition with entertainment and targeting the massive Asian market. But alongside these groundbreaking efforts, cracks in its foundation are becoming increasingly apparent. While ONE has built a legacy of unforgettable fights and iconic athletes, its future hangs in the balance. Will it overcome these challenges and redefine global MMA, or will its ambition prove too great to sustain? What do you think? Is this a temporary stumble, or are we witnessing the downfall of one of the most ambitious MMA promotions ever? Let us know in the comments, and as always, like, subscribe, and hit the bell for more deep dives into the world of combat sports. Thanks for watching.
You know, most people, most healthy human beings carry their weight if they are healthy. Some of you are not.